hear me?
Hello, good morning.
Oh, very well, very well. Thank you for accepting our invitation. We are very honored to have you today as the speaker, and I am very honored to announce that we have two professors today. One from University of Erlanga, and the another one from our university, Tehran University of Medical Sciences, School of Dentistry. Both are specialized on the field of pediatric. And by the way, hello, dear Dr. Nadia. Good day. Yes, yes, I saw you. I just wanted to say some greetings. Yeah, yeah, stay safe. And we are very honored to have this interesting topic, which is a case report. We have Dr. Qadimi from Department of Pediatric Dentistry, Tehran University of Medical Sciences. Dr. Qadimi, good morning. Of course, it is 7:30 a.m. in Tehran, so this is a real morning for us. Dr. Qadimi, do you have my voice? If yes, please open your webcam. And yep.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dr. Rai. It's my honor to be here as a part of this webinar. I want to say welcome to everyone. And, I think we need to wait because in Iran, our students need, proxy and cannot connect directly, and it takes time.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good. We are waiting for our pediatric residents. They will join us. Also, some of the faculty members from the pediatric dentistry may join this session. Dear Dr. Yudi Janto, am I pronouncing right your name?
Please call me just Udi.
Oh, yeah, it's easier. It's really easier. Thank you,
It's
Professor.
way to call me
Yeah.
just you. Call me Udi. UDI.
Yudi, it's great. It's great. By the way, I am Dr. Amir. My first name, you can call me Amir. My last name is Rai. Whichever suits you, Amir is good. And I'm a periodontist. Also, I am the director of international relations at School of Dentistry of Tehran University of Medical Sciences. We are very honored to have this kind of series of webinars with Erlanga University, and we are planning to make this persistent in future. And inshallah, we are planning to perform joint research programs, joint educational programs like this webinar. We are very excited to listen to your fantastic speech on this fantastic topic, a comprehensive management of traffic accident oral trauma on a 7 years old boy. I think the comprehensive means we may expect some multidisciplinary interventions. So this is really exciting for all of us, and this is a case report. I always like the case report because it says your opinion, the specialist opinion, and I can get your concept of treatment. So case reports are really exciting for me. I think Dr. Qadimi also agrees on this. So please, Professor Yudi, if you want to start, we are all ears.
Excuse me, I agree with Dr. Rai. In our at our university, in our department, we often encounter dental and oral trauma cases. Therefore, I think learning and sharing how to manage these kind of cases effectively is essential for our postgraduate students and we are, we are looking forward to hear from you and learning from you and sharing our experience with you. And I think this kind of webinar can be very useful for our postgraduate students and for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ghadimi. Thank you, Dr. Sarah. Okay,
Yeah, I
Professor
think it's
Yudi.
better.
Yeah.
Okay. May I start?
Yeah, of course, of
Okay,
course.
thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Can I call you Dr. Amir?
Yes, yes, it's completely okay. Yeah.
Amir and Dr. Sarah? Right?
Yeah, and Dr. Sarah, yes.
Yeah,
She's
it's
Yes.
the
better
like
because,
you.
yeah, I think our last names are very strange for each other, I think. And because of that, I think, Sarah, Amir, and is better.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
I think we by using our first name, it be more closer relationship. It feels right.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Okay. First of all,
Exactly.
thank you
Yeah.
so much for giving me a chance to say and sharing something about the oral trauma in children's. But Dr. Amir, before I start, yes, my title is about comprehensive treatment. But in my presentation, actually, I didn't much mention about the comprehensive treatment itself. I mean, yes, we do the treatment, but not only for our department, but also sometimes we share with the department of the oral surgery. And we also have the collaboration or maybe the relation with the other hospital before they
Uh-huh.
to our hospital. So we say that. So maybe it's a bit different that something that you mentioned earlier. I'm sorry to say that.
Oh, oh, oh.
Let me
It's
start,
great. Yeah.
Dr. Amir. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I think in Tehran is now in this also in the mornings 7:30 or maybe 8.
Yes, yes, yes. It's right. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning then, everyone. Um, Dr. Nadia, you mentioned Dr. Nadia. Where is Dr. Nadia?
Yes, yes. We are friend with Dr. Nadia. We perform some international
Yeah.
cooperations, plan the, and we're happy to have her.
Yes.
She is really
Thank you
active,
so
very
much.
kind, and yeah, God bless her, really.
Thanks to Dr. Nadia, I can join this meeting. Actually, last month, if I'm not mistaken, there was Dr. Irma Josefina Savitri who joined this meeting also. For your information, also, Dr. Amir, she's my wife.
Oh, really? I didn't
Oh, yes,
know.
So it's
Oh,
my
oh,
turn now.
really?
It's my turn now to share something with you, all of you. Okay. Okay, let me start. Let me share my PowerPoint first. Okay, can you see? Sorry, wait. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes,
Yes, we
and
can
if we
see.
can,
Okay.
it's
Did you?
great. Yes, it's great. Yeah.
Okay. So today I'd like to share about cases and of our management oral trauma in children due to traffic accidents. While preparing this, I've not do it myself. I've been helped with my residents. I introduce you later, and also we helped by Dr. Dimas Prasetyanto Wicaksono. He's the staff members of our department. And first, I'd like to introduce to you the staff member of the Department of Pediatric Dentistry, Universitas Airlangga. We have formerly 12 staff, but now 11. But in 11 staff, we have 6 professors who sit in the front, is all of the professors, and the 5 staff in the back is the lecturers of the Department of Pediatric Dentistry. Now, I'd like to start with the etiology of dental trauma in children's. Starting with the etiology, talking about the etiology, usually we will find some causes, which is first, the most common things is fall, because the children's in the range of age, say that 1 or 2 years old, they still in an unstable condition. If we're walking and maybe running, and then they come easily falling, or it could be because of sport activity, traffic accidents, and child abuse. Then other things, talking about the dental injury in children, is predisposing factors. First is the profile of the children itself. Talking about the profiles, usually we talking about the occlusions of the child. So mostly it's a protruded condition. So it could be class 2 division or class 1 with the protrusion condition. And the other thing is it about the overjet. It's also can be normal, increased overjet between 3.1 to 6 millimeter. And for the extreme overjet is more than 6 millimeter. The longer, I mean, the far distance between the overjet become, the higher the prevalence of dental trauma. And also for the special need children, we can understand this because some of them usually have the problem with the muscles conditions, the motoric conditions, and then for instance, for cerebral palsy or person with epilepsy or mental retardations. So they become easily fall. Maybe they can due to the sudden condition, for instance, the movement that cannot be controlled, it can be make a trauma on the dental oral mouth. And also the anomaly of the tooth. We know the condition like hypoplasia or maybe amelogenesis imperfecta, it can be make the dental trauma become easier. And the aim of the treatment itself, we can divide it into two, for the primary tooth and for the permanent tooth. Most of the aim is the same, but the condition for the primary tooth is specifically we have to protect the growth of the permanent teeth of tooth pods. So this is the permanent tooth. I think we still have deal with the initial complaint like bleeding, swelling, and the pain, and aesthetical, phonetic, and mastication function. We have to focus on that. And for the consequences of dental trauma, either in primary tooth or the permanent tooth, we found some condition like the discoloration of the enamel defect, delaceration, delay eruption, ectopic eruption, or impacted permanent tooth. This is the just for the illustration for the impacted tooth can be found after the dental trauma. Also, this laceration of tooth. So the morphology of the enamel is bending because of the trauma itself. And ectopic eruption, so the permanent teeth erupted in the area or maybe the condition that unusual. Due to the force of the trauma. And also we can find the enamel defect or discoloration of the enamel of the permanent teeth. And for the management of the procedure of traumatic dental injury, first, I think we should minimize and the anxiety of the child or the patient, the parents of the patients, because it's not uncommon for them to come to our dental office with the condition is a very high anxiety in children's and for the parents itself, themselves. For the conditions, um, that's because the parents very worry about their condition of their child, and usually also they come in the condition still bleeding in the oral mouth, and the children's crying aloud, and it sounds like the children's it in very painful condition, so it makes the parents become very anxiety also. And the second one, we have to obtain the history, of course, by taking the anamnesis of the accident. And clinical examination we should do for the extraoral, intraoral, and radiographic. And we also providing the first aid. And the fifth one is the treatment for the injury itself. I mean, is a gentle aspect of the treatment. So talking about the minimizing the anxiety and the child and the parents, it first is we should reducing the child and parents anxiety on the first visit by how we can do that. First, well, before we can say something that they don't have something to worry about, we should do it by ourselves, the condition of um, the oral condition after the trauma. I mean, usually the children come to our dental office with condition of the bleeding and still many dirt of the from the road, or maybe and from the places that they fell down, so we cannot see easily what's exactly happened on the oral mouth. So first we have to clean it first and stop the bleeding as much as possible by tapping the bleeding, so it can reduce the bleeding, and we can see from where the bleeding is come from, and how big is the wound, and which teeth is affected. Usually after we can see that, after we know that, okay, this tooth is mobile, and this is the tooth is well, fractures, and this some the in lips mucosa, it's a wound over there. After we can see that, we can control the bleeding, and then we can see what's the main cause of the pain, and then we can say to the children and their parents that we have know the problems, and they don't have to worry too much about that, because we can do something to um, treat it. And then of course, major of this children's is not that cooperate at that time, because well, they just fell down and then feel painful, and they afraid with the so much um, blood maybe in their oral mouth, it become very anxious and very afraid of the condition. So we have to deal with the condition that the children is not that cooperate. And then for the specific condition, maybe if necessary, we can use the physical restraint to check it. Or for the smaller children, with enough with the checking with the knee to knee condition position for the child to we can check the oral examination. And then, of course, after we taking the personal data from the parents or the caregiver who accompany the children's, we should take the crucial anamnesis. I'm sure that all of you already aware about, we should asking them specific questions like when did it happen. It's a very crucial because we have to know how long before they come to the dental office. For instance, if they're talking about avulsion of the tooth, so we have to know whether the condition is still in the golden period for replantation, or the condition that we should do. And then, so is very important to know when did it happen. And then where did it happen? Because we should know about the condition where the children fell down. Is it the, well, I think it's difficult to say that they fell down in the clean area, because usually it's happened is traffic accidents. So the children fell down, or maybe hit with some condition with the vehicle, and then they fell down in the road, in the middle of the road, on the just in the pedestrian without, which is almost sure that this is not clean. So we have to say and prepare whether the tetanus prophylaxis should be done. And how did it happen? So the impact of this hip position, head position of by, for instance, by the bicycle or by rock or by street on one side, or maybe in the both sides of the mandible. So we can see that the condition in the mandible become asymmetry condition. And then we can say that the swelling or maybe the tendency of the condyle fractures in some condition. And then other side effects, vomiting, headaches, bleeding. We should aware about this. If there is a condition, for instance, any bleeding from the ears, bleeding from the nose, and then lost consciousness or something, we should aware it and consult immediately to the hospital. I mean the emergency room, because we afraid something worse from the condition. And then, is there any missing tooth for this condition for the avulsion? If they come to the our dental office bringing the teeth, the tooth who avulted, that's all right. I mean, we should aware whether the children swallow the avulted teeth. So we have to worry about it. And medical history, we should ask them, is there any problem with the heart, or maybe they taking the immunosuppressant therapy or something. And after that, we should make a clinical examination, of course. For the extraoral, we check the bleeding, and then trauma around the head. Is there a condition that we have to worry about? And then swelling or bruising or laceration, usually in the area of the lips, or maybe in the tongue, in the mucosa of the oral mouth. And then for mandibular deviation, sorry. For instance, in these pictures, there's a different level in the mandibular on the left side, on the right side. We should aware, or maybe suspected there is a trauma in the alveolar bone, or maybe even in mandibular bone. For the interoral, we can check soft tissue. Yeah, we already mentioned about gingival restoration, or is there any hematome, or maybe indicate the fracture of mandible. For the hard tissue, is there any occlusal abnormality for the dental alveolar fractures or mandible fractures? Vitality test, with which you check to the tooth to impact directly to this trauma? Is there any root fractures? How about the percussion of the testis? Is there any periodontal involvement here? And then, yeah, if is there any avulsion in this condition? And to make it the definite definition, diagnose of these cases, we should take the radiographic examinations, which is some choices that we can choose is the periapical radiographic. If you want to see the root fractures involving or apical disease. And then for the panoramic, we can see from the mandibular or maxillary fractures. From these pictures, the above we and the arrow, white arrow, we can see some fractures line. And then if there's a facility of the cone beam computed tomography, it would be great because we can see, well, like a kind of three-dimensional condition of the oral mouth. And the comparison means if we have some data or maybe pictures that is taken before the trauma, we have to compare it with the newest radiographic. So we knew exactly what's the difference between the pre and post trauma. And then providing the first aid means make sure that there is no respiratory obstruction. So because it's in some cases, it can be due to bleeding. If we didn't perform the tracheostomy, but I'm not sure. And then this condition, it should be done by the doctor is in the emergency room. Yeah. If there's bleeding, like I just said, it must be stopped and applying a tampon and some hemostatic agent, or maybe using spongostans and something to stop the bleeding. And after that, giving them the antibiotics, analgesics, and anti-inflammations medications. And then, like I just mentioned previously, we have to consider about the tetanus. So tetanus prophylaxis also must be considered by giving the vaccine or other prophylaxis condition. Okay. And about the treatment, actually, it depends on the cases, the severity, and the classification of the dental trauma. Today, I'm not talking about all of these the treatment because it's impossible for me to say all of it because it needs long time to say and explain about this. So maybe I just mention about two cases in this today's. And yeah, about the mobility of the tooth to impacted of the injury, oftenly we need to give this splinting for the tooth. For instance, for the avulsion, after replantation, we have to make a splinting to fix the tooth so it becomes placed in the condition normal condition before trauma, and it can be safe. So the splinting conditions usually is passive and not traumatic, flexible, and if we need endodontic procedure, usually we use done the endodontic procedures after the splinting is installed. And also it should be easy to apply and easy also to remove. And talking about the classification of dental trauma from WHO, we have several conditions. start from the enamel fractures, crown fractures, root fractures, concussion, extrusion, yeah, lateral luxation, intrusive avulsion, and soft tissue. But today's I only mention about the intrusive luxation and avulsion. As to make the condition, well, our understanding is we think the same condition. So I have to say the definition of first for the intrusive luxation is the tooth being displaced apically, leading to a crossing neurovascular bundling entering the pulp and severe damage on the cementum and periodontium. So due to the trauma, it can give the force or hit the tooth, and the tooth become embedded to the alveolar bone or maybe the gingiva. Some condition, the teeth can totally disappear because it entering the alveolar bone, or just half or maybe 1/3 or maybe 2/3 of the tooth is embedded to the alveolar bone. And about the avulsion, it is completely displaced from the alveolus and total of disruption of the pulpal blood supply. So it the tooth is no longer in the alveolar bone. And about the soft tissue injury and fractures alveolar bone, it's oftenly happen because the lips or maybe the the mucosa of the oral mouth is being hit, or maybe by unwillingly bite of the teeth itself because of the trauma. It also causing by the hitting by some part of the vehicle if it's talking about the traffic accidents. And we can see some wound and maybe some laceration in the lips or maybe oral mucosa. And if in the worst condition, we can find the contusion, swelling, ulceration, abrasion also in the alveolar bone, in gingiva. From the right pictures, we can see that some part of these anterior teeth is displaced until the alveolar bone. So we can see that this is a fractures in the left and right side. And talking about the avulsions, some textbooks say that the golden period is between 20 and 30 minutes. But obviously, the patient come to our dental office is longer than this. Usually, it could be 1 hour, 2 hour, or even 12 hours after the trauma. So it can be affected the prognosis of the treatment. The longer they come delay come to the our dental office, I would say that the lowest the prognosis of the treatment. But well, some cases it's not, because of the condition is conducive to do that. So if the immediate implantation could not be formed directly, then it should be stored properly. So the golden period become, well, longer than usually. And we have to advise, well, this is of course before the trauma happened, right? If the trauma is already happened and then they come to the our dental office with the conditions is not so conducive, we cannot do anything better than that. So this is the advice or recommendation for the parents, or maybe the other caregiver of the children who get the dental trauma. The first is we have to identification, or maybe identify where the children's fall down, and after that we have to wash in the water flow. Do not wash it with the soap or alcohol, and hold in the ground, not in the road. And carefully stored, we have write it in the sterile gauze or clean handkerchief. I should mention the clean handkerchief, because it's sometimes handkerchiefs is not that clean because already used by to wiping anything. So the golden hour become can be longer than that, and then immediately go to the dentist. And the storage, some textbook suggested a milk, saliva, or psychological saline solution. Well, if it's possible, we can put it back in the socket. Of course, we have to stay carefully, because if the condition is not conducive, for instance, is the tooth is still in the covered in dirt, we should not suggest that. And then we can put the false tooth to the buccal sulcus, or maybe under the tongue, but we have to ask them to be careful, because it can be swallowed by the by accidents or by the children's. And then this is the standard operation procedure actually for the avulsion treatment. So after we wash it, make it the conducive condition for the replantation, we should do the local anesthesia infiltration, and we after irrigate the socket with the saline, we put the tooth to the socket, and we splint in the round rigid. We should check the occlusal condition, and we prescribe the antibiotic Mountbaus. We can use povidone iodine or maybe the chlorhexidine. We suggest them to consume the soft diet and using the soft toothbrush for the affected teeth. And then we should check the tetanus toxoid for the immunization, and took the radiography. If we need the endodontic procedure, we do it before or after removal the splinting. We can do both. And for periodical control, well, in the case that I would present it today, we start the control visit start from 1 day after the trauma. So the next day. So after that, we check it for the 8 days, for the 14 days until 1 month. So after 1 month, we should take dental check after 3 months, and each 6 months within 2 years. And again, for the intrusive toothstation, if the intrusive is mild, less than 3/4 of the crown, and doesn't interfere the permanent tooth germ, we can put it at that way, so re-erupt spontaneously in the 3 and 4 months. Or we can do also the repositioning and splinting. But if the intrusive is severe, more than 3/4 of the crowns, or interfere the permanent successor, so we should extract this tooth. So indication for the treatment is the extraction of the tooth. And yeah, I just mentioned about this. The function of the primary tooth is tooth extraction, because if we do the replantation of the primary tooth, it can interfere the permanent tooth but and the eruption of it. Then I would start with the case report first. Case one. This is our dental team. So, like I mentioned in the front, I didn't do it myself. I saw this is my residence. They do the treatment of the patients. Let me introduce to you. This is Dr. Hani, Dr. Alosita, Dr. Della, and Dr. Mediana. And this is the patient. This is a 7 years old boy. Well, he came to the our dental hospital with a traumatic motorcycle accidents. With we have no history of unconsciousness, nausea, or vomiting in the patients, and there is no history of bleeding from the nose and ears. This is something that we should worry if there is. And then they will find that bleeding from this mouth, and the child was cranky, anxious, and crying. So before he came to our dental office, his parents already bring him to the nearest hospital at that time. So with the staff of this hospital, the chains or the chin or the sutures and the extra oral conditions already being treated. So after that, this boy is referred to our dental faculty. This is child, the 7-year-old boy, come with his condition. Okay, the right side pictures is a suturing that given by the hospital's doctors before they come to our dental hospital. And then this condition, the oral examination. We can see that from the upper side, from the anterior, we lost the primary teeth here. And then for the 52, this one is mobile, yes. And then we see the lower side here. We have a very quite wide wound here in the vestibulum, and also trauma in the lips for the lower lips. Okay. This is the condition before the trauma. We asked the parents to if there is pictures of the children's showing their teeth before trauma. It's very helpful because we can check the tooth, the condition before the trauma. So after the trauma, we see the condition that's difference, right? And this is the panoramic radiography. So this is the tooth is very mobile in level 3 mobility, and then this is the tooth with avulsion for the primary. This is the permanent tooth with the partly erupted. We found no sign of the fractures of the alveolar bone or fractures of the root or maybe enamel. The assessment that the 51 tooth avulsion, like I just mentioned, the 52 luxation intrusion, and then mobile also. And for the 31 and 41 subluxation, the anterior lower mandibular, and we have a big, quite a big fullness apertum mucobuccal full anterior mandibular and fullness excoriation on the mental regions This is the part that already done by the doctors from the previous hospital before coming to the our dental office. And traumatic ulcer on the labial inferior.
Mhm.
And yes, this is the treatment that we give it to the children after the debridement with the sterile saline. We give us local anesthesia infiltration for the anterior mucobuccal fold regions and giving the suturing the lower anterior with the Vicryl 4.0. And after that, we give it the aloe vera extract gel applications. And for the extraoral wound management, we cover it with sulfatul and gauze and bandage. Okay, for the prescription, we gave him antibiotic. We choose the anti-amoxicillin, we still use it. Anti-inflammation, we choose the potassium diclofenac and gave him the mouthwash povidone iodine and aloe vera extract gel for supportive. For the parents of the guardians or the caregiver, we ask them to improve or maintain the oral hygiene, giving him soft diet, high protein and high calorie, no gargling, only rinsing, no consuming for the sour, spicy food or too hot food, and follow-up visit on the following day, so the next day. And for the extra oral, for the next day control visit, we still found that the intact appendix in the mental region, normal mouth opening. So we don't have any trismus for the mandibula, no normal TMG or no pain, no clicking. And then for the intraoral, we have no bleeding, minimal inflammations. Laceration and anterior upper and lower gingiva still persist. Ulcer on the labial mucosa. And the intake of the 10 sutures and vestibulum still intact. And the mobility of the 31 and 42 still we can find it. And 21 partial eruptions and 52 intrusion involving 2/3 of the crown with the mobility of level 3. Healing process is on process for the labial fullness and traumatic ulcer inferior labial region still persists. And we still giving the parents and the patient educations about the diet and the debridement. This is the pictures before and just after not I mean after we treated at the day of treatment and the next day. At the extraoral at the 8th day of control visits, we still find the suture intact, normal mouth opening, and still normal TMG, no pain, no clicking. And for the intraoral condition, the ulcer on labial mucosa and dextra, we still found it on process of healing. 8 suture of lowering anterior vestibulum, it means to already disappear. And for the mobility of 31 and 41 become reduced. And 11 and 21 is on the way of eruption. And 52 intrusion with still level 3 mobility. Healing process still happening. Traumatic ulcer from inferior labial regions. Again, for the parents and patients, still we gave information about diet and oral hygiene management and debridement with using this line solution. And the 4th day of control visit, we extract the 52 tooth because introduced um, too deep and then still in the level 3 of mobility. And we still do the wound debridement and giving the Aloclair gel in the ulcer in the mucosa. Prescription, like mentioned previously, this is the medicament that we gave to the children. And for the parents counseling, yeah, we still gave it the same information. Case report number 2, this is the dental team, which is the by Prof. Cindy Cornelia Nelwan and Dr. Kirana, Dr. Fami, Dr. Renata, Dr. Hartman, and Dr. Masita. This is the dental team who did the treatment. The patient is a 9 years old girl, came to the our dental office, dental hospital, due to the avulsion of the tooth of her tooth due to the accidents while she crossing the road, and the tooth already stored in saline, and she arrived at our dental hospital 4 hours after the accident. This is the conditions, oral intraoral condition. So we found no excessive bleeding, and the condition of our mouth relatively clean. This is the radiographic condition that we're showing that, sorry, the avulsion of the teeth, the empty condition, alveolar socket. This is the place of the avulted teeth. And then the procedure, I think it's almost the same with the previous that I mentioned. So after the debridement, we take it give it the local anesthesia, and then, well, first the next tooth here, 62, yes, the 62 is very mobile, and then we gave it the extraction, and then we gave a curettage on the socket walls to clean it, and then yeah, we replant the tooth of the socket, holding in the crown and with the light finger pressure until the position stop in the place that it should be. After that, we gave retention of the tooth by giving some roughen the surface to the enamel, so can be hold the splinted. So fiber splint is prepared and placed in the tooth by etching, bonding, and light curing. Okay. This is the condition after the splinting. This is the oral radiographic. We should take it just after we put it back or replantation of the tooth, so we know exactly the position of the replanted tooth. This is the prescription. We still using the amoxicillin, but this time we use ibuprofen, and for the mouthwash we choose the Manucept. Okay, this is the end of our presentations. Again, this is the stuff, all the stuff of the pediatric dentistry, Airlangga University. Let me introduce to you from the right side. This is Dr. Betadion, and the left side, Dr. Mega, Professor Tania. This is myself. And then next to me is Professor Seno Pradopo. The next Professor Seno Pradopo is Professor Sugeng Waluyo, Professor Prawati Nuraini, Professor Cindy Cornelia, and the next is Dr. Ardianti, and this is Dr. Dimas Prasetyanto Wicaksono. Okay, thank you. So maybe we can start. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Udi. Thank you. It was
information that you need.
Yeah, actually, I was mesmerized. I was hypnotized by your great presentation. I was all ears, and congratulations to you that you have this sophisticated team of pediatric dental faculty medicine with your leadership. I really enjoyed. And well, I have some questions in some parts, but first I want to ask Dr. Sarah, Professor Sarah, if there is any comments, and also we can have a brief Q&A questions from our residents.
First of all, I want to say I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor Yuji for insightful and informative presentation. It was so comprehensive, and I think managing dental trauma is a very challenging topic, and because of that, I want to truly thank you for your valuable and informative presentation. I want to ask our postgraduate students if anyone have any question, and after that, I have just one or two question about your cases. Um, I don't know. Can you hear me? If anyone have any question, please feel free to ask your questions.
I think that they feel shy today. I don't know why. When I was the postgraduate student as the resident, I was always asking. So, dear pediatric residents, please ask. If we have the legendary Prof. Udi here. So if there is any question, I have some questions, of course.
Okay.
But first, yeah, with Dr. Sarah. So Professor Sarah, I think you can ask your comments and questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask some question about the case number 2.
Yeah.
In case number 2, I was confused first. You said the case referred to your department after 4 hours. And,
Yes.
my question is, why don't you do root canal therapy of the tooth outside the mouth? Because after 4 hours, we don't have any chance, to keep the cells vital. And because of that, one of the treatment option is doing a root canal therapy outside the mouth. It would be so great because I want to know your concept when you encounter with avulsus. We have a lot of, this kind of case in our departments. And it's so challenging, In some cases, you cannot choose the best treatment when you encounter first with these kind of cases.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Professor Sarah. I completely agree with you that is treating the trauma case and the children is very, very challenging. So and answering the questions about why we don't treat it the endodontic treatment the outside or before the replantations is that, well, I must say that until now there's some controversy that the about when the endodontic treatment should be done before or after the replantations. Well, I have to say that we choose to treat the endodontic treatment after the replantation, after the splinting is applied. That's because some literature reported that the prognosis of the success treatment is higher when we treat it after the replantations. I'm sorry I cannot explain the detail of the reasons, but for my opinion, it can reduce the possibility of the internal resorption or maybe external resorption that usually happen after the replantation of the tooth. So, well, this is reported by several references that if the the replanted teeth is being endodontic treatment after the replantations, the percentage of the occurrence of the resorptions is reduced. So we choose the treatment of endodontic after the replantations. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was a very great controversy about the time of root canal treatment, and I know that, you know, in some cases you don't have enough time, and it's important to put the tooth in the socket immediately. I know it, and I want to ask you if you have applied any kind of fluoride. Composition on the root surface of the tooth before replantation to reduce the chance of external resorption or not? And do you agree with this concept or not? Because I think there was a lot of controversy about applying fluoride and the composition of it before implantation.
Yeah. In this case, we didn't give the application of fluoride before the replantation. So,
yeah.
Well, I must say that like you just said, we don't have much time while we do the treatment, and then the conditions at that moment is not conducive to give the fluoride. Besides that, we still not sure about the effect of the fluoride to reduce the resorption. Maybe Dr. Sarah, you can share for us here if you have any experience by applied the fluoride before replantations.
A lot of a lot of protocol was presented in our textbook, such as McDonald and Novak, and there are a lot of controversy between them. I think, I'm not sure, but I think McDonald was suggested that if the tooth was outside the mouth after longer than 1 hour, it's better to apply fluoride before replant of the tooth. And I know that there are a lot of controversy, and because of that, I ask you, you know, most of our audience are postgraduate students, and they don't ask any question. And because of that, I start to ask some question to, you know, to, because I think it's very difficult to, you know, to decide on that moment. And because of that, I want to review the protocols. And because of that, I ask these kind of question. I think your case was very interesting. And if it's possible, I want to ask you, please show the radiograph of the patient again. I think I saw the missing of permanent lateral incisor. And if I saw it correctly, the child is so unlucky because the child had a, you know, avulsed central incisor, and when you encounter with missing lateral, it can be so tragic. Because I'm not sure, but I think I saw that the missing of lateral incisor and erupting canine in a space of the lateral incisor, I think. I'm not sure. We can check it right now if
number
it's
2?
possible. Yeah,
You
in
mean
case
number
number
2?
2, yeah.
We'll show again.
I'm not sure, you know, but I want to check it with each other if it's possible.
Right. Wait.
In the right quadrant, upper quadrant.
This one?
Yeah, I think this one. And I think it's, yeah, I see that the missing of lateral incisor in this radiograph. You can check it. I cannot see it right now. It was a problem with sharing the slide.
Sorry, how come? Okay.
I think it's look like canine tooth, and it's not, you know, lateral. And I can see that the, you know, just like that, the permanent canine is erupting beside the central incisor, and we can see the primary canine in the radiograph, and we can check it in the panoramic view. I think it will be a better view of the tooth, and we can count the tooth, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Wow, Dr. Sarah, you very detailed in these pictures. Yes, I have to mention about that the left pictures, we can see that this is the permanent canine, right? Can you see
Yeah.
my cursor? Yes. This is
Yes.
the permanent cursors is just under the second lateral incisor. This is the
Yeah. I think
sorry.
we have a missing of permanent
Yes.
lateral incisor,
Right.
and I think the child is so, you know, it's not lucky, you know, it's a tragic. You missed one tooth genetically and one tooth by accident.
Yes. Just mentioned about the avulsion here, but yes, this is we missed the permanent path for the lateral incisor. Yeah, this is because this
And
is
please, if it's possible, we can check it on panoramic view, because I think these kinds of, yeah,
right.
you know, I want to ask our residents, our postgraduate students to, you know, to be careful, to watching the radiographs, because you know, when you encounter with a child with bleeding teeth, missing teeth, it's very important to comprehensively examine other teeth and be careful about the other condition of the tooth and mouth. And I want to just ask them to be careful, because it's very important. You know, if we are just looking at these radiograph after everything is okay, but in that condition, it's very important and it's very difficult to differentiate between different scenario. And I think it's need to they need to practice more and more.
Yes, I completely agree with you, Dr. Sarah. Yeah, thank you for your information about these conditions. I just mentioned about the condition of the avulsion teeth. So I did not mention all of the treatment that needed for these patients. So I just skipped the part of the explanation about all of the treatment needed for the patients because I'd like to mention and highlight about the avulsion. Yes, thank you. I completely agree with you, Dr. Sarah, that we have to carefully see the radiographic, and we should compare it the panoramic radiography with the periapical radiographic, or if it's necessary with the CBCT.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sarah.
Thank you. You know, in our department, we always prescribe amoxicillin, just like you. I know that in some department they prefer to prescribe penicillin, but in our department we prescribe amoxicillin because the duration is 8 hours, and we think that it's better for children. The interval is 8 hours, and it's better to parents to, you know, to schedule to give the pills to the child correctly. And we always, you know, prescribe mouthwash of chlorhexidine in cases of soft tissue wounds and laceration to keep the mouth clean. And I think a lot of departments use another pills and medicines, and I think our protocol are the same in prescribing the medicine in these kind of traumas.
Yes, agree. For choosing the antibiotic, usually we ask the parents whether their children's oftenly taking the antibiotics medicine. So if there is no information concerning the use of antibiotic, but usually we still choosing the common antibiotic for these cases. But in case of these children's, or maybe their children's under still taking the medications with the high dose of antibiotic, or maybe the broad spectrum higher specific of the antibiotic, yes, we should consider to choose other type of the antibiotic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I asked a lot of questions, and you know, sorry for disturbing. I don't have any question.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sarah. Right now, one of our previous postgraduate students, Dr. I think Mardiana, sent a message.
Yeah, we call her Nana, and I saw her name, and I feel so excited. I miss her. And yeah, I feel so excited that, oh my God, Nana is online, and it's a great opportunity to, you know, to see my previous students here, and it's so great.
Yeah, Prof. Yudi Nana is from Indonesia, and she was our postgraduate student in the pediatric department.
Oh,
Yep.
great.
Yeah. Uh, by the way, thank you, everybody. It was really a great session. I really liked the end of the session, these discussions. It helped all of us to make a better
Sorry,
clarification
sorry to
regarding
interrupt,
this
Dr.
topic.
Amir.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Amir. I'd like to say hello to Professor Cindy. She's
Uh-huh.
joining us now. Professor Cindy, can you say something? Professor Cindy, the head department of our Department of Pediatric Dentistry.
Professor Cindy. Yeah. Okay, greetings, Professor Cindy. And I think we can keep this touch and this bond and this connection between pediatric departments from
Yes.
TUMS and Erlanga. I think we are now friends, Dr. Sarah, Dr. Yudi. We can plan some kinds of these scientific programs. Also, we can go further steps in the field of research.
Yes, it would be great. It would be great if we do that.
It's great. It's great. Okay, everybody, if there is any question, please feel free to ask legendary Prof. Yudi. Let's check the participants. We have got our pediatric department residents. Thank you all to participate. And of course, friends from Erlanga, thank you, everybody. We try our best to manage such webinars in future, inshallah.
Yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
Prof.
Thank
Yudi,
you.
I
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much,
I
appreciate.
want to ask,
everyone.
yeah, thank
Well,
you.
hopefully we can see it again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you
So,
so much.
see you all in future, inshallah. Stay safe.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.